The Nike Air Max 90 is 30 years old, and they're going to be celebrating that fact with tons of different drops throughout this year, tons of different colorways for that classic silhouette. And here we're starting off the year with one of the biggest packs that are going to drop throughout this year, which is the City Pack. Now, we've been here before. Last year there was a City Pack from the UK only, and I think it was something like Manchester, Glasgow and London were the three cities in there. Maybe I put a picture behind me of some of those to show you those guys, but this year they're expanding that out to 5 cities in total and going international, not just UK. Now, if you're thinking, I've heard this before, Nike Air City Pack, what are we talking about here? What I think you might be reminded of is last year's drop of the Nike Air Max. What was it called now? On Air. That was it, the On Air pack, which had 6 different cities in it, and we've got 5 in this pack today, and they've dropped South Korea's capital city, Seoul, from their little pack here. I think they're going to catch flack for that from the people in Korea, and I can imagine why, because if you had all 6 cities last year and then you've dropped that down to 5, the guys in South Korea and Seoul are going to be saying, why us? But for some reason, Nike have decided to do that, and they're not bringing out a Seoul colorway in this Nike Air Max 90 City Pack. But what they are bringing out is Paris, New York, London, Shanghai and Tokyo, which is right where I am. And I'm going to take you through each and every one of those 5 sneakers and look at the main points on them and let you know what I think of the upcoming release of the Nike Air Max 90 City Pack. This is a Tokyo About 23 sneaker channel, Tokyo About 23 sneaker channel des. Mainichi absolutely no de, mainichi mite kudasai. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneakers, sneaker releases and sneaker news. And today we're looking at 5 different sneakers in that Nike Air Max 90 City Pack to celebrate the 30 years of the Nike Air Max 90, a classic colorway, one of the mainstays of the Nike line. And especially, I think, if you're European, it's a big deal because the Jordan line didn't get so big in Europe compared to Nike Air Max, and the Nike Air Max 90s are right at the center of the Nike Air Max line. So it's cool that they're dropping these guys, and it's cool that they've gone after 5 different cities in this City Pack. Now, right off the bat, straight out the gate, if you watch my channel a lot, you'll know that I'm not known for following the hype or for just saying what, like, say, Nike or Adidas or any of the brands want me to say, and I usually give it to you straight, and I'm giving it to you straight right now. I don't think they've really done a great job on any of these sneakers. If they have done a good job on one of them, I'd probably go with the Paris, but even then there's still something in there that's like borderline discrimination. It's pretty close to discrimination, so they're not the greatest sneakers in the world. If you're here to look at these guys and just listen to somebody talk about your favorite sneakers and you're like, what's he talking about? That's just not how I roll. Sorry if that's not what you're looking for, but that's what you're going to get from me today. Now, before we get into those 5 sneakers, we do a game at this channel where we get to rare sneakers in hand on a Sunday, but we're not doing that game this week because this Sunday 4 Yeezy 350 V2 sample colorways never seen before are going to be in hand at this channel. So instead of playing the game, just look forward to Sunday when those sample Yeezy 350 V2s, 4 colorways that you will never have seen before unless you're an OG Butter Squad member, then they're just amazing. So instead of playing the game, just keep an eye out for that Sunday video that's coming down the line. But that aside, let's get away from that and get into these sneakers. And we're going to start off with those Paris ones because they're my favorite and the ones that I think are the cleanest. And clean they are. I mean, clean. They're just a triple white. They're pure clean. There's not really much hint of color on them at all. It's just an all white sneaker from top to bottom, with the exception of 2 places, one that I like and one that I don't really like very much. And the one that I like is on the heel, where you can see the tri-color of the French flag back there to represent France, which Paris is the capital city of. Very nice, looks really good on the triple white colorway. What I don't like so much is that what they've gone for, each of the 5 sneakers, they've gone for one small element of the culture which the city is from. So instead of going for a big sort of, like, if it was Japan, like kimono or sushi, for example, two huge things that you'd represent with Japan, they've gone for something small and less connected in a sort of overt, sort of explicit way. And in the case of Paris and the France sneakers, they've gone with bakeries. Now, yes, France, Paris, you think of the croissant or you think of crepes or things like that, you know. And yes, there is a sort of like, I don't know, like a little ting in your mind for bakery, but I wouldn't necessarily say bakery Paris. They're not like, you know, that close together in my mind. And I think it's slightly kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit discriminatory to say that people in Paris love bread or everybody's a baker in France or something like that. You know, it's a little bit too close to sort of stereotyping and kind of, like I said, an element of discrimination in there. So I find it hard. I mean, hopefully behind me here, you're looking at this and what you're seeing is the insole, which has that bakery motif running through it. So other than that insole, which I suppose I could take out, it is a fire sneaker and very clean. So I do like the Parises. And then we fly all the way across. You know what? I'm going to go across the English Channel to London, since that's the closest city to Paris in this 5-city pack. And no, Nike, no, this is such a non-British thing to do. Anyone in Britain would look at this. Now, if you're British, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to say, but if you're British, I've given you like 30 seconds to tell me what you think I'm going to say about this colorway right here, okay? I'll get to that point in a minute. I'll tell you what the colorway means, and then I'll tell you why it's an absolute, like, no. And what it means is it's meant to represent Royal Mail, postmen. Now, a little bit of trivia for you guys here. I used to be a postman. Who knew? Now I work in Tokyo, Tokyo, Japan, in education, where I have lived for 20 years. Speaking of which, tomorrow I'm going to do a video all in Japanese, which is going to be a huge challenge for me. So look out for that all in Japanese video tomorrow. 明日は日本語でアップするので、なんかビデオを全体的に日本語でやるので、できるかどうかわかんないけど。So we'll see if I can pull off that trick tomorrow of doing it all in Japanese. But before I lived in Japan, I came here straight from university, and my university job was a postman, and I can speak fairly well, fairly knowledgeably about postmen and postwomen, post people in the UK. And these colours are kind of like, I mean, there are hints of the post in there. Apparently it's meant to represent the jackets, but it doesn't really get the colours right. The colours are kind of wrong. It's a deeper blue, and it's a redder red that they should have been looking for, whereas this is kind of a little too orange for me. So in those terms, I didn't really like it anyway, and that crown on the insole, which Royal Mail is meant to represent. They sold Royal Mail. It's now a private company, so that's a bit of a miss as well. But anyway, those Brits out there who maybe have been hit me up with a comment down below about what I was going to say about these. What I'm going to say about these, and the problem here, and maybe the rest of the world don't get this, except for two countries, the UK and Spain, there's a hint about what I'm going to say here, is this colorway is the Spanish soccer team's national uniform. And I'll put up a picture, doing, so you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll go back to the sneaker, bing, and you can see, I mean, this doesn't represent the UK's postal workers, it represents the Spanish national football team. Absolute wrong, boo, bad answer, incorrect, you're booted off the island, Nike. Didn't get it right with this one. Apologies to anyone out there who likes these and is running out to buy them, but they're a big NO for me. But now we'll go around the globe. We're in the Northern Hemisphere only, actually, now that I think about it. Nike, you might want to hit up Sydney, for example, to get some Southern Hemisphere in there. But on the Northern Hemisphere, let's go across the Atlantic Ocean to New York City, and a super respect to call out. It's the NYFD, New York Fire Department, or is it the NY Fire Department of New York, but anyway, doesn't matter which way around you put the letters, the fact is they're calling out some of the bravest men and women in the world, anywhere in the world, firefighters, policemen and women, ambulance drivers, doctors, nurses, people in the services who take care of us and who run into danger when everybody else is running away from danger. You have to give respect to them. And that's why it disappoints me to say I'm not a huge fan of the sneaker. I totally get the call out. I totally respect what they're trying to do with this, especially on the heel. Hopefully you can see that right behind me here. The heel's absolutely cracking heel. Great shout out to the Fire Department of New York. However, I don't really like the colorway too much. It's a bit black. And the thing I really don't like about it is that I mentioned before about a city pack that dropped last year for the UK only, and the Manchester colourway, doing, looked like that, which is a little bit too close to this New York colourway here. Doing. I just think they're a little bit too close together, and that's a bit disappointing when you're calling out some of the bravest people in the world, when you want to salute and say thank you to some people who have gone above and beyond, taken another colorway and kind of updating it or adapting it. I mean, you could have done a bit better with this one. Like, you could have gone a bit more fresh, started something brand new from the bottom up instead of taking something that looks awful close to something that dropped last year. I mean, if it was, you know, 10 years between the two colorways or something like that, I'd get it, but they're real close together, 1 year apart. Not really feeling that one. So I'm a bit disappointed for the firefighters of New York, disappointed that this sneaker itself hasn't kind of brought through what would have been a great sneaker and what could have been an absolutely fire element of this pack. Sorry for that, but that's just my honest opinion. Feel free to hammer me in the comments down below. I love it when people disagree with me, and I love it when people agree with me too. But let's keep going. Where are we going? We're going west, right? Is that right, everybody? We're going west, so we've got Paris, London, New York, and if we keep going a bit west, we get to where I am, which is in Tokyo, Japan, and the fourth of 5 sneakers in this pack. And it's my favorite colorway of the 4 so far. In fact, it's my favorite colorway of all of them. The obsidian blue, I think it's really cool, and I'm assuming they've put those gold hits up there to represent the Tokyo Olympics, which are coming this year, 2020. But they're similar to that sort of bakery motif that was on the Paris ones. They've gone for construction motif on the Tokyo ones, and that construction motif is most obvious up on the tongues, which is one of my favorite features of the sneaker, not because of the color on there, not because they're mismatched tongues, which I love when they have different colors or different design on the tongues, but because of the Japanese writing on there, which I believe says Air Max, which is obviously Japanese for Air Max, and it's written in an alphabet that they call katakana. There's 4 different alphabets here. It's complicated, but this one's called katakana. And that Japanese is repeated on the inside as well. You can see the Japanese writing on the inside. And my favorite feature on any of these 5 sneakers is on the outside of these Tokyo ones, where you see in that little panel in there, it's got some Japanese writing in there. And what that says, for the uninitiated, is Anzen Dai Ichi. And Anzen means safety and Dai Ichi means first. So it's safety first, which is super cool. But construction in Tokyo, no. Just no. I don't know who at Nike thought that connection would work. Yes, of course they have construction here. Construction is one of the major drivers of the Japanese economy. Tons of infrastructure work. One of the few things that I agree with Donald Trump about in his plan for the world is building infrastructure to boost the economy. Yes, it gets jobs going. Yes, it gets tax dollars flowing. Yes, it gets people working and people investing the money that they've earned back into the economy, and it has the benefit of having nice stuff like nice roads to drive on and things like that. So of course Japan has a construction industry just like anywhere else in the world, and maybe it has the best construction industry because of the way it feeds into the economy, but it's just not that big a deal here. If you said construction, oh my goodness, I think Tokyo would be, I don't know, the 800th city on the list that maybe I'd go for. It just isn't, it's not that, I don't know, I just don't know. I don't get it, Nike. I don't know why you would put construction together with Tokyo. The two, yes, they do have construction here, of course. I'm not saying they don't, but it just isn't like, I don't know, it just doesn't jive that well with what they're doing with the city pack. Which brings us on to the very last thing in our, very last sneaker in our tour around the Northern Hemisphere, as we've gone all the way from Europe through North America and now into East Asia, and we finish up in Shanghai, where you've got this fine little colorway to finish off the pack, and it has some really cool detailing on there. I like the fact that it's mismatched. One of my favorite things is mismatched sneakers when the left and the right shoes are polar opposites of each other. So where there's red, there's blue. Where there's blue, there's red, for example. So I like that. And then I also like on the tongue, you've got a specific tongue, which has absolutely nothing to do with the usual Nike tongue that you'd get on Air Max 90s. So that's pretty cool. And then inside, you've got some mopeds on the inside, which again is, China, I would say bicycle, you know what I mean? That image of like people, hundreds of people riding bicycles down the road, more than mopeds. Whereas moped, I would have gone with something Mediterranean. You know, you're in Italy or you're in Greece or somewhere on one of the islands on holiday and you rent a moped for the day, for example, or maybe even Thailand. But I just wouldn't connect moped with Shanghai. So all in all, I mean, looking at the whole 5 sneakers in the pack, some of them are cool, you know, some of them are nice. Like I said, the obsidian blue on the Tokyos I really like, or the triple white on the Paris ones, I like as well. But I mean, the point of the thing is to tie up something that features in the city with the sneaker and put those two together. And they've just totally, well, not totally missed, but they've chosen, you know, what would have been maybe 10th or 15th on people's lists rather than 1st or 2nd. So like if we said London, and I'd say, right, London, what would you want on a sneaker to represent London? Maybe that Ferris wheel there that's called the London Eye, or the Houses of Parliament, or the Buckingham Palace, the Queen, or those guards with those huge hats on their head, and those kind of things. There's a lot that springs to mind much faster than postal workers. So I don't know, I mean, maybe they were trying to be cute, maybe they were trying to be, I don't know, I don't know what they were trying to do, but I don't feel it. Now maybe you guys feel it and you're going to run out and buy these guys. That's fine, knock yourselves out, go for it, enjoy yourself, have fun. I don't mind that, of course. I'm not saying don't do that. If you like them, buy them. But me, myself, they're just not mine. They just don't quite fit. There's a little there's a little disconnect there. They're dropping real soon on, I think it's January the 30th, so it won't take us too long to find out how well they're received by the public at large. But for me, it's a bit of a no on all 5 of these guys. The on-air pack from last year, I think had a lot more character, was a cooler pack and represented each of the cities in the pack a lot better. Now that was an Air Max pack, whereas this is an Air Max 90 pack. So that on-air last year had Air Max Vapor Max, and I think it had some 95s in there as well, and Air Max 90s too. Actually, the Tokyo ones were Air Max 90s, and they were cool. They represented their cities a bit better than these ones do. And like I said at the top of this guy, they had 6 in there. So the people in South Korea looking for the Seoul colorway in this one are going to be waiting a long time, unless maybe I've missed out the shoe and I didn't realize there was one. So if there is one and I missed it out, I apologize for that. Maybe I'll drop it into a video some other day. For now though, it's time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. I do truly appreciate it. Like I said at the top of the video, we're not playing the game this week because we've got that Yeezy sample collection. It's 4 sneakers that maybe you've never seen before, and some of them are really fire. In fact, well, they're all fire because they're samples. Definitely worth checking out. So instead of playing the game, just look forward to those Yeezy 350 samples that are coming on Sunday. For now though, time for me to say farewell. Thank you guys for checking out my content, and because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.